All right, we're live.
All right, great. I'm just taking off my sweater because it was making me look like I was part of the background. All right, so we'll get started in like a minute or less. I know we're a few minutes late.
Sounds good. All right, we can get started.
All right, great. So I'm Helen. I'm an attorney at Waypoint Immigration, and I specialize in EB-2 NIW and EB-1As. So today's topic, we're going to talk about, should you apply for EB-2 NIW? So I think this has like a couple different angles to it. The first angle I'm going to talk about is if you are an H-1B holder and you're nearing like the end of your H-1B time. So if you're ending your H-1B time and you're in like the 5th year, not yet in your 6th, if you apply for an I-140 application, which is what an EB-2 NIW is, or if you go through PERM, like either I-140 type of form, you can then extend your H-1B by a year if you have a pending I-140. So again, that could be through the PERM process, which I know a lot of people have been paused or have problems with, and it takes so long. So like that may not actually work for you, but you can then apply for an EB-2 NIW and have that be your pending I-140 as you enter into your last 6th year, to give you that wiggle room of an additional 1 year under your H-1B. So that is number one. But of course, you have to be able to qualify for EB-2 NIW. You know, if you don't qualify at all, then that's frivolous and you can't like put in an application just to kind of get that kind of bonus there. So then I guess the question is, do you then qualify for an EB-2 NIW? So NIW, like in its basic form, is national interest waiver. So this is obviously second preference. You bring the application on your own, self-sponsored. You don't need a company to do it for you. So that gives you a lot of power within your own control. And then it also follows you, not your job, not your job title. It doesn't belong to your employer. It belongs to you as long as you continue to do the work that you are claiming that you're going to do in your application. So a lot of these applications, you don't even need a bachelor's to qualify. So there's different ways to qualify. One is through meeting 3 of 6 criteria that shows that you have some sort of exceptional ability in your field. And you can do those through like showing a degree, if that you're getting a salary, you know, for your work, that you maybe have a membership or you've had 10 plus years of consecutive full-time experience in your field, if you've gotten some sort of license or certification that's required for your field, you've been recognized by you know, industry leaders and experts in your field. And there's maybe a couple more that I'm forgetting off the top of my head there. But as long as you meet 3 out of those 6, you can qualify. If you have a bachelor's and you qualify with that, it has to be equivalent to an American bachelor's. You have to have 5 years of post-bachelor progressive experience. So that means that your, you know, your job duties have increased, your job title has maybe risen up through the rankings and that sort of thing. Or you can just have a master's degree or a PhD, and then you don't have to show anything other than those actual degrees. So that's the first way that you qualify. then you have to show that what you are doing is being impactful beyond your employer. So how is it helping your industry go forward? How is it impacting America? A lot of the time, these people are in STEM. In the past, I feel like those in more of a humanitarian aspect, maybe like advancing education, or like I actually had one client at some point that was doing work with like developing different languages and things. And that's not always going to be the case. A lot of people are in STEM. And I feel like that is, depending upon what you do, that is kind of like a stronger application at the moment, at least, showing that you have some sort of economic impact with what you're doing beyond your company, how you're helping progress the country with technological innovation, keeping us at the top of the field, like with AI and other different, tech things. If you're helping to bring, the semiconductor chip manufacturing back to America, helping maybe with healthcare, whether it be through, technology with like maybe telehealth or infrastructure items through healthcare, or doing something that's helping with patient outcomes, diagnosing patients or treating patients and things like that. It has to be whatever you are doing is impactful beyond your company. So, it might be a little bit tricky for you to see that, but you can definitely, I think it makes sense if you actually get someone else's opinion and in what your work is. We do free assessments all the time for NIWs on our website, where we can see like your profile and different things that you're doing, and we can help you determine if what you are doing is impactful beyond your company. A lot of the time, you may be like so focused in on what you're doing, you're not seeing that bigger picture, and we can help you kind of see that bigger picture and how strong that argument is. um, and so we help determine how you're being impactful beyond the company, and then everything is really dependent upon what your proposed endeavor is, which is what your future plan is to be impactful. So this should not be saying, oh, I'm going to continue doing my current job. Like, that's not really what we're looking for. We're looking to see, like, okay, well, how are you advancing AI in telehealth? How are you helping advanced AI and diagnosing cancer, or something like that? Like, we want to know, what is it that you're actually doing? How is it impacting the country? And we can, again, we help clients kind of fine tune that and see what is the strongest angle for what their work is, and it has to all be founded upon what your experience has been. So your proposed endeavor should have a basis in the work that you have already completed, but the proposed endeavor itself is very future focused. You want to show the government that you have a plan, that this is kind of what you're looking to do. This is how you will accomplish that plan. These are the different methods that you'll implement, different goals that maybe you'll set for yourself, and things that you can try to achieve, because the government wants to know that if they are going to let you bypass the labor certification process with the regular EB-2, that what you are doing is worthwhile for the country, that it's aligned with the same interests of the country, and that's mainly with the Trump administration and the different things that the different agencies and plans and strategies and things like that. There are some things that are obviously shifting right now between presidents, and Trump is just within his first 100 days even of office, and things that he's changing. So there's a lot of plans made, but there's nothing that's maybe as solid as it will be in the future. So it's kind of tricky that there's been some things that have been revoked, some things that have changed, some things that are kind of up in the air right now. So, for example, with like the CHIPS Act, as far as I last know, it is still not like revoked, it's still active. Bringing semiconductor manufacturing is very much, part of like a national goal. But how that act is going to be funded under Trump is probably going to be different. We're not really sure, maybe like what programs will still happen, and that's still up in the air. So that's what I mean about, we're like in a transition time where things are still in the national interest, but it's just a little bit, getting tweaked and adjusted to the new administration. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Like also recently with AI, he's revoked some executive orders that have to do with AI ethics and that sort of a thing. But the goal is removing, I guess, some of those regulations in order to help spur technological innovation and kind of remove any sort of hurdles. So definitely he has done executive orders that show that AI, that he does want to advance AI and things like that. So that's part of like the research that we do on the attorney end, but that's something to kind of also keep in mind, as you're kind of looking at your work. And something that's maybe a little bit trickier are those that are in the energy industry, because Trump is definitely more for traditional energy, energy independence. So if you're doing something with wind energy or solar energy or anything in the green energy space, maybe start looking at your work as to, well, how am I helping America like diversify our energy or, lessen foreign reliance on other countries' energy. America wants to kind of focus more in and of itself, not be as reliant on other people, and kind of strengthen ourselves from within, sort of an idea. So just kind of seeing how your work might still work out under the Trump administration, just maybe seeing it in a different way, kind of lessening the green environmental impact of it, but it's maybe more strengthening infrastructure or something like that. So just kind of keeping those things in mind. But yes, so overall, should you apply for EB-2 NIW? If you are in H-1B and you are in a field that you think could be in the national interest, it's definitely worth getting an assessment. Like I said, I know our firm does it for free on our website. It's just kind of like answering a few questions, giving us your resume. Some other law firms might do that as well. Of course, we always could do like a meeting, an appointment to talk about your NIW application. Do you, can you apply now? Should you apply later? Are there other things that maybe should be done to make it stronger, or maybe just giving you feedback as to how we're viewing your work and kind of getting that idea from you as well, like a back and forth kind of conversation about it. So, yes. So if you are interested in getting a green card, whether you are on H-1B or maybe you're not even in the country. So you don't have to be in the country to do an EB-2 NIW. You can be from anywhere in the world. Like I said, this is self-sponsored. You don't need a company to do it for you. The tricky thing is that if you're out of the country, you then have to show how you would be immediately impactful if you were to enter the country with an approved, green card through this application. So by getting some sort of networks of people in the profession in America and having them write a letter for you, just kind of saying, this is what the current industry is like in America. These are the problems we're having. Someone with your specific set of skills and experience could really help us out here in America and really help align America, with achieving its goals and things like that. So that's one angle there as well. And then I should also just mention that if you are not in America, the EB-2 NIW will not grant you any status. You will not be able to come to the country until you actually get your green card. So even if you do get an approved I-140, you would have to wait for your priority date to become current to then come in with a green card. You could always find maybe some other underlying status before then, like the H-1B or, some other sort of aspect angle there to get you into the country before your green card, but definitely cannot just enter on an approved I-140. That's not a status. It'll just help you get in line for a green card. So just wanted to clarify that. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to put it in the comments. If you're watching live or on the replay sort of a thing, feel free to put in a comment and I can always go back and add in anything. But otherwise, I'll just see if there are any comments and we can kind of go from there.
So Nazir asks, well, I submitted my NIW petition I-140 on January 19th, 2024. And still it's pending, and it's showing 16 months in Nebraska Center.
Yeah, so obviously I'm assuming this is not premium processing, since that is clearly from over a year ago. I know that with regular processing, there's just been, that time frame is getting longer and longer, and there is no duration as to when they have to get back to you by. I would say that definitely seems like on the longer side as to like a processing. I mean, at any point you can upgrade to premium processing, and then they'd have to get back to you within 45 business days. But, at this point, you've been waiting for over a year. I'm assuming that, that's not necessarily something that you want, but there's really not too much to be done. You just have to kind of wait for a reply.
Rita asks, will a reference letter from a director of a medical IT company work for NIW petition for a healthcare industry?
That's a very general question, so I don't know. I'd have to get more information. So, if we're looking for, like, is this a director from a company that you work for? Are we talking about an independent letter? If we're talking about an independent letter, I would say it's typically good to get someone that is maybe a higher level job title that is also within your field of expertise. So, I definitely want to make sure that there's some sort of cross section that this person would be able to talk about. Again, like, what are the current problems in your industry? How would you help to fill those gaps? How is what you are doing impactful to the country, to your industry, and that sort of a thing. So I'm assuming we're talking independent letter for that.
Gerard asks, given the recent changes in the U.S. administrative policies, countries that are put on orange or yellow list, those who are applying for EB-2 NIW, where do they stand?
So, from my understanding, is that you can still apply for the I-140 application, and then once you would get to the part for consular processing, like if you're out of the country, you have to go through consular processing. If you're in the country, you go through adjustment of status. So, if you are within the country already in the U.S. on a valid status and all of that, you could probably still adjust your status at that point if your priority date became current. If you were outside of the country, that's where some problems, I think, would probably lie. Of course, this is all speculation. There's nothing that's been actually, sent out officially or anything like that. But as far as I understand, you can still apply for NIW, and then the problem would be for those that are currently outside of the country going through consular processing. But there is still, a several year delay between getting your I-140 approved and actually being able to get the green card. So, it may just be all fine in the end, because then we will maybe potentially be into a different presidency at that point, in which then that list will hopefully be, taken down and adjusted and things like that, because that's pretty much what had happened the last time. Just kind of basing it upon that. So it may give you some pause at the moment, but in the end, because you do have a few year wait, it may end up just being a moot kind of a problem.
Rita asks, how does the future plan looks like? Is that applied pen, submitted research paper, etc. will work?
Well, they want to know, what are you going to be doing to advance the entire field? If you have plans of doing publications and patents and things like that, that's fine. But they want to know more about what kind of methods will build upon each other. What techniques will you implement? What technologies will you use? How is your work going to build upon each other in the future to help create like a landscape of improving things in America, improving things for your industry? They're looking for maybe more like bigger picture items, but I mean small picture items like, I have a plans of, doing this specific patent or this specific publication that's seems very short-term minded. They want to know more long-term items too. So I think if you discuss things short-term, they're probably talking more about like a publication you have in mind or patent. But if you're talking long term, then they're going to want to see like how is your work going to build upon each other? Where do you foresee this being 5 to 10 plus years down the road? Of course, we don't all have a magic ball, but obviously doing the best that you can to kind of anticipate how you will help progress in that proposed endeavor as best as you can within reason, of course, would make the most sense.
Rita asks, will the progress made in proposed endeavor help with RFEs?
So if you get an RFE, we obviously want to like give additional documentation and things that you are the things that they request in the RFE. So every RFE is a little bit different. They typically all seem to question the first prong of national importance. I have seen one come through lately that actually accepted the first prong, but then questioned the second and third prong, but that's a little more unusual. So, I would say for most RFEs, kind of clarifying what your proposed endeavor is important, giving them more of those details, more of those solid ideas of how you will progress is important. And then showing any other kind of documentation to, usually the RFEs give some sort of list, like a bullet point list of different evidences that they are, showing that you can throw in there in your response to prove the different aspects. Of course, not all the bullet points apply to everybody, but they kind of give you an idea. So any sort of documents, the ones that are most impactful are the ones that show the results. So results of projects, impact of projects, any sort of reports back that you increased efficiency by 12%, or you helped save the company X amount of dollars, or you improved the accuracy of some diagnostic test for healthcare by something like that. Typically, I know it's difficult for people to find hard evidence of that, but anything that kind of tilts the application in your favor and can help pinpoint those things. Could be maybe a reference letter also, but definitely you want some third-party evidence that is not just your reference letter. So you definitely want to find, something that can help support the reference letter and support the response.
Sibyl asks, what happens if the RFE has even incomplete responses, like the officer run out of time?
So when we do an RFE, we definitely want to make sure that we're doing some sort of legal analysis where we're showing the officer what the standards are, how they should be interpreting them, what is kind of typical in the USCIS policy manual or under the matter of DANISAR, how they kind of analyze those three prongs. And they should be giving you concrete evidence for you to reply back to. So if they are not doing that, that's also kind of part of the standards, making sure that they're giving you pinpoints to reply back to. So I think in that case, I would just be using the policy manual, matter of DANISAR, any other kind of things that is appropriate, like the matter of Chilwathi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but that's showing like the preponderance of the evidence standard, how you have to show 51% likely to be doing the things you're claiming. That sounds to me like kind of a legal analysis to reply back with.
Elric asks, given that sales plays key part in many organizations, does an exceptional sales specialist in the AI field have a good chance for NIW?
So a sales, I have to kind of know more about what you do with the AI aspect of what you're saying, because a sales specialist, I'd have to know more. So if you're having just some sort of economic impact, I'd have to see what kind of economic impact it is. Like, how does that extend beyond just your company? If you are selling things for your company, how is that impacting the economy beyond your company? What are you exactly doing with AI? If you're just like selling an AI product to companies, it seems like there'd have to definitely be some follow-up questions there, because I'm not seeing the impact beyond the company without having some sort of conversation about that.
Is national interest as literal as it sounds? Would explaining how your work applies to a state interest be good enough?
So it has to be national interest. So, the federal government has to have initiatives to show that the government is interested in furthering these sorts of things, but your impact doesn't have to necessarily be national. It could be regional or, to at least a state or maybe more than a state. So, for instance, like I had a client that was doing something with advancing wildfire prediction models. So wildfires are obviously not really a problem in a lot of the states, but they are in California and they are in some states. So in that case, it would just be impacting those specific kind of environmental areas, but that is still nationally important. And that person did get approved. And granted, this person was probably a couple years ago at this point that I had worked on that particular application, but that's an example. So, if what you are doing is helping at least a region, like a giant, I'm not saying like just a city. Like I would say the impact has to definitely be bigger than that, regionally, like, the West Coast or, the Northeast, as big as possible is the best.
Gerard asks, people who have professional qualifications like CA or ACCA usually do not have a degree, so I understand they would not be eligible for an advanced degree, but given their progressive experience for more than 10 years makes them eligible?
Yeah, so you can qualify through exceptional ability by meeting 3 out of the 6 criteria. One of them is, some sort of educational degree or certificate. It doesn't have to be like a formal, like bachelor's. I know there's some countries that give you a bachelor's, but it's only equivalent to 3 years, so it's not equivalent to a 4 years in America. So it doesn't have to be as formal as that. Any sort of education that relates to your field. Then, like you said, it could be 10 plus years of full-time work in your field. Licenses or certifications is another one, which sounds like it could be applicable in that area, showing that you are being paid for your work, for your exceptional ability in what you are doing. Getting recognized by different experts, through reference letters, or maybe you got an award, or maybe you had gotten citations on a publication. So those are like experts in your field that are commenting by using your work and furthering the research. So, it sounds like there could be other aspects that would allow this person to qualify under EB-2 NIW. It would just be not through advanced degree.
Spiller says, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anything else you want to cover?
No, I mean, I don't think so. It's kind of, there's always a lot to talk about. So, and it's hard to do any sort of personalized individual commentary without having a one-on-one conversation and being able to kind of see all of the items that we would be working with. So, like I said, our website, we do free assessments, and you can also book appointments with me or Amber or Alex, all on the team. We all do work in EB-2 NIWs and EB-1As and all those other things that you might have questions about. We're happy to kind of do an individual analysis in that kind of a way and give you more personalized feedback, because everything I'm saying here is kind of broad and generic and may or may not apply to your specific scenario without getting more details. So I would definitely encourage everyone to do an assessment or to make a call with one of us and kind of do a more individual approach.
Great. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you.